Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha. श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्धदामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Namaste once again, everyone. So, in the last class, we saw the 44th shloka, where Arjuna was telling Krishna, Hey Janardana, Utsanna kuladharmana manushyana narake niyatam vasaha bhavati iti anushrushuma. So he says, oh Krishna, we have heard from the scriptures, from the Shastras, that stay in the hell becomes inevitable for the people whose family traditions are destroyed. That's what he says, isn't it? Utsanna kuladharmana, whose family traditions are destroyed, for them narake niyatam vasaha bhavati. They will always be living in hell. Hell means what? I mean, in totally distressed conditions. And here Arjuna has actually spoken about hell and all that, Naraka, based upon what he has learned from the Shastras about Drishtaphala and Adrishtaphala that we saw in the last class. Arjuna was not a non-believer in Dharma. He believed in Dharma, unlike Duryodhana. Arjuna had firm belief in Dharma, and he also had all along a very clear thinking that this war was between Dharma and Adharma. He knew all these things, but still, because of whatever we have seen in the last few classes, he thought that destruction of his people would actually be an adharmic act. And his people includes Duryodhana's people who are actually on the side of adharma. So he somehow in his moha coming to the conclusion that killing adharmic people will itself be an adharmic act, which is the fallacy in this entire, his argument. And this adharmic act on his part will attract adverse adrishtaphala. That means what? Papa. And he will be confined to hell, naraka, and there would be no happiness for him, either then or even later. This is what, we have seen the build-up of Arjuna's arguments, and finally coming to the 44th sloka. Now, he now sort of, sums up whatever he has said, and that is in the 45th sloka, which we will read. Aho bata mahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam yadrajya sukhalobhena hantum swajanam udhyatah. See, again he is in the same mindset. Swajanam, swajanam, swajanam. My people, my people. So Anvaya of this sloka is Aho bhata vayam mahat papam kartum vyavasitaha yat rajya sukha lobhena swajanam hantum udhyatah. This is what he is sort of now summing up whatever he has been saying in the last almost 15-20 slokas. So he says Aho bata. Aho bata is an expression which is a sort of an exclamation, alas, shame on us. That is the expression. Aho bata conveys this expression, fie upon us. Vayam. Vayam means we have undertaken mahat papam, a great sin, kartum, to commit, vyavasitaha. So we have undertaken to commit a great sin. And for what? Yat, for Rajasukha Lobhena, due to the greed for the pleasure of the kingdom. All the sukhas with goats, with the, becoming a Raja and getting a kingdom and all that. And what is the sin? Swajanam hantum udhyataha. Swajanam, our own people, hantum, to kill. Udhyataha means we are prepared. So he says, Krishna, just look at the situation. My God, shame be upon us. What are we going to do? We are going to commit a great sin just for, some pleasures of this kingdom and, all this kingship and all that. We are prepared to kill our own people. We have come to this state of affairs in this war without any thought, without any, introspection. This is what we are going to do, Krishna. See how serious it is. So now Arjuna is now coming into full form rather. He somehow wants to not fight this war. So up to this verse, Arjuna's lamentation was what? It was focused on what he was about to do. Here we see Arjuna wondering why he did not think of all these things before coming to the battlefield. Where did my buddhi go when I decided to fight this war? What happened to my thinking, my viveka that I have now? So he is sort of cursing himself and saying, alas, fie upon us. I was going to commit a great papa. Just God has been great to save me from that. Give me the right buddhi at the right time. So all these are all, Arjuna's monologue. Because he is now focusing not on the battle, but what will happen after the battle. That is what his focus is. Thinking into the future. Not living in the present, but trying to live in the future. There are some people who always live in the past. There are some people who always live in the future. Both these set of people actually make their lives miserable by not living in the present. Because for us, only the present is relevant. Past we cannot change, it is done. No point in brooding over the past. Future is uncertain. We cannot predict the future. We don't even know what is going to happen tomorrow. What is going to happen in tomorrow, next 1 hour? We don't know. So why worry about a future which is totally uncertain, which is, we don't know anything about it. But that's what most of us do, and we make our present miserable. So here, Arjuna is thinking of the consequences of the battle. He is not thinking about strategy, how to fight the battle, what I should do, how I should, take on Bhishmacharya, who is a great warrior, and all that. Nothing he is thinking. He is only thinking, if I fight this battle and kill all these people, what will happen then? That has been his focus of all these thoughts. And then he comes to the conclusion that there will be not only this war will cause problem for the individual, not only for the contemporary community, but it is going to have repercussions in the future also. Mahat papam kartum vyavasita hai. We are about to cause or do a great sinful act. And what is that Mahat papam? Killing of all these people, which will lead to Varna Sankara, Jati Sankara, Dharmanasha, Pitrinam, Patranam. All this we have seen, all these chain reactions. And all because of what? Arjuna says, all because of Rajya Sukha Lobhena, greed for pleasures of a kingdom, that we have come here. So Dharma, Adharma, all is gone at the back, last bencher it has become. Now all these pleasures of the kingdom has come to the front bench of Arjuna's thinking. He says, we were interested in royal pleasures, the kingly pleasures. So lobha, which means greed, because of this false and misplaced greed for all these pleasures, what we are going to do? Swajanam hantum udhyata hai. We are even prepared to kill our own people. This is what he has now come to the conclusion. And he is now trying to tell Krishna that even you didn't see Krishna. You see how I have thought about all these consequences. So it is clear that he has forgotten, Arjuna has forgotten all this dharma, adharma problem. He has forgotten this is a fight between dharma and adharma. And all that he is seeing is only swajana relations standing in front. And the irony is, earlier he accused Duryodhana and company for being greedy. Lobo pahata chetasa hai, he said. And they are fighting the war because of that greed. They don't understand all these things. That was the accusation he made earlier. Now he is saying that we have also no different from Duryodhana. We have also been greedy. That's why he says his own action of killing his people smacks of greed alone. And so Arjuna says, oh God, thank you very much. At least at the nick of the moment, you have made me wiser, that at least now I can withdraw from the war. This is the conclusion he is coming to, and which he is now going to express in the next verse, the 46th verse. This is the last verse of this chapter from Arjuna's narration. Yadi mama pratikaram ashastram shastrapanayah datra rashtrarane hanyuho tanme kshemataram bhavet. So he is now saying, I'll give you the Anvaya. Yadi shastrapanaya hai, dartra rashtra hai, ashastram apratikaram rane mam hanyuhu tatme kshemataram bhavet. He says, if I am going to be killed by these dartra rashtras, by Duryodhana and company, it will be actually good for me. That is the total, convoluted conclusion he has come to. Yadi, even if Shastrapanaya, armed with weapons, Dhartra Rashtra, the Kauravas, Mam, me, Ashastram, who is unarmed, Apratikaram, who is unresisting, Rane, in this battle, Hanyuhu would kill, Tat, that, Bhavet would be, make Kshemataram, better for me. See? Now Arjuna has got, in his mind, he has two options. One is withdraw from the war and go away. Another is that even if they attack with all the arms and ammunitions, he won't touch the his bow and arrow and would get killed in the process. And that he has now come to believe that that is actually good for him, better for him, instead of committing the papa of killing all his people, Swajar. So that's why he's saying, hey Krishna, even if the Kauravas armed with weapons would kill me, who is unarmed and unresisting in this battle, that would be better for me. Now clearly, this shows that Arjuna has decided not to fight this war at this stage. But he realizes that the beginning of the war has already been signaled, starting from Bhishmacharya, blowing his conch, and then we saw all the tumultuous, so many noises. The beginning of the war has already been signaled. What is happening here between Krishna and Arjuna, nobody knows. In fact, people may be thinking that they may be seeing these two people conversing, Arjuna saying so many things to Krishna. Since they cannot hear it, they must be assuming that Arjuna and Krishna are planning the strategy for the war. How to attack, where to attack, and all that. And because the bugle has already been sounded, the whistle has been given for like a football match, the referee, he will sound a whistle, then the play will start. Similarly, Duryodhanas and all that, they may start shooting the arrows and the fight will start. And suppose they shoot the arrows and Arjuna does not resist it at all, what will happen? Arjuna will be killed. So he says, even if that happens, I don't mind. I have decided to relinquish this bow and arrow. I am not going to touch this bow and arrow. And even if they are going to destroy me, I will die, but I will not contribute to this chaos in the society, this Varna Sankara, this Dharma Nasha, all these things I am not going to contribute. Let me not become a party. Height of emotional, what I can say, emotional outpouring. Totally confused. And Arjuna is not alone. We can actually look at certain situations in our own life where we would have reacted no different than Arjuna. If this happens, that will happen, that happens, this will happen, and all. In fact, there is an old movie, I don't even remember that name of the movie. It's a Tamil movie. Those people who are there, it is a movie where Nagesh, that comedian, was a hero. So there is a marriage, he is getting married to somebody, and they are going around, the husband, that is the girl and Nagesh, they are going around the Homakunda. They are doing the Pradakshina. And this Nagesh suddenly starts crying, profusely crying. So people are asking, what happened? I mean, it's a very happy occasion. You are getting married and you are now doing the Pradakshina of the Homakundam. Why are you crying? He says, no, I imagined that, this Homakundam has got very good fire. It is all coming up. Now this girl who is walking in front, her pallu is hanging. So suppose that pallu catches fire. Then it spreads, and I am, since very close to her, I also, the fire catches me also. And then because so many people are around, everybody, the fire spreads to everybody. Then it spreads to this whole pandal. then the whole marriage all and everything perishes. I was thinking about all that, and then so I am crying. Arjuna is exactly doing the same thing which Nagesh did in that film. Instead of focusing on what is happening, and even if there is a risk of a fire, trying to think of ways and means how not to get into that situation. He has already started imagining what will all be consequences for something which has not even happened. So similarly here Arjuna, the war has not even started, and he has already come to the conclusion that even if Dhartarashtras Rane Mam Hanyuhu, even if the Kauravas choose to kill me in the battle, me, who is Ashastram Apratikaram, unarmed, and who has decided not to resist, not to fight, even if such a tragedy happens, Tatme Kshemataram Bhave, I consider that as sacrificing my life for the sake of Dharma. Huh? Sounds very familiar, isn't it? All our politicians, they claim the same thing. We are doing everything for us public seva. We are doing dharmic action. Very, very familiar. So this is, I think they have learned all this from Bhagavad Gita only. So he says, I am sacrificing, I will take that, I will cancel sacrificing my life for the sake of Dharma. I am going to consider that as a dharmic action. Dharmic action like fasting or tapas and all that. Because tapas also involves a sacrifice, isn't it? Lot of sacrifice it involves. And the highest sacrifice is giving up one's own life. So Arjuna says that even if I have to sacrifice my life for the sake of saving the society, I don't mind. That I consider as good for me, as fortune for me. And with these words, now Arjuna has closed his case. He has exhausted everything that he has to say. He has given a big lecture, and all three problems have come out fully. Raga, Shoka, Moha, everything has now been completely exposed. And so Arjuna now stops. In fact, he is in total confused state. And Krishna continues to observe a strategic silence. Why? Because Krishna knows that this fellow Arjuna, even if I say something, he is in no mood to listen. Krishna knows that he needs to give Arjuna some time to cool down, so that whenever Krishna starts talking, Arjuna will have the ability to at least listen to what Krishna is saying. So Krishna keeps quiet. He does not speak. But looking at Krishna, he must have looked at Arjuna in wonderment. Now, Arjuna has been going on and on and on. And now finally he is telling Krishna that if they give up the fight, they all may be killed, but he did not care. Arjuna was determined not to fight back. But Krishna knows that this is only Arjuna's thinking. This kind of thinking was not shared by other people in the camp, nor in the opposite camp. Even in his own army, in Arjuna's army, people were not thinking about all these things. They were in fact getting ready to fight the war. So all these things was there only in Arjuna's mind. Therefore, if Arjuna was not going to fight, he would have to either run away from the battlefield. Other option is stand there unarmed and be killed. And between the two options, Arjuna now says that he has decided not to fight, not to run away, but concluded that being killed would be better for Arjuna. And after that, what Arjuna did is now narrated by Sanjaya. you must remember that the whole thing is a flashback. Not flashback, I would say, but Sanjaya recounting what is happening in the war battlefield to Dhritarashtra. So the last sloka of this chapter is in the form of Sanjaya explaining to Dhritarashtra what happened after Arjuna said these words, that it will be better for me to be killed. Certainly Dhritarashtra would have been very happy to hear all these things. He would have almost come to the conclusion that, okay, fantastic. If Arjuna has decided not to fight, then Duryodhana's victory is assured. Dhritarashtra must be, very happy man now. And to further double his happiness, Sanjaya says, Sanjaya uvacha eva muktarjuna sankhe ratopasta upavishate visrijya sasharam chapam shoka samvigna manasah. So Sanjaya is telling, Sanjaya uvacha uktva evam sankhe Arjuna hai shoka samvigna manasah sasharam chapam visrijya rata upaste upavishat. This is what Sanjaya is explaining after saying that last sloka, 46th sloka, what did Arjuna do? He says, Sanjaya uvacha, Sanjaya said, uktva evam, having spoken thus, sankhe, in the battlefield, Arjuna, shoka samvigna manasah, whose mind was grief stricken, whose mind was completely overcome by sorrow. Sasharam chapam visrijya, having given up the bow along with the arrows. That is, he didn't throw it, but just kept it down. Rata upaste, on the seat of the chariot, upavishat, he sat. A warrior who was supposed to stand and fight and take his bow and, engage the bow in the, take his arrow and engage the arrow in the bow and then shoot the arrow. He has kept the bow and arrow on the side and he has sat down, tired, confused, and does not know what to do now. Because one thing Arjuna observes, all through Krishna has been silent. So Arjuna intuitively may be feeling whatever he has come to the conclusion, probably Krishna has got something to say, but he is for some reason keeping quiet now. So he is totally confused and he sits down on the ratha, on the seat of the chariot. So Sanjaya says, having spoken thus in the battlefield, Arjuna, whose mind was grief-stricken, having given up the bow and arrow, sat on the seat of the chariot. This is the meaning of this sloka. So Sanjaya is now giving a typical picture of Arjuna to Dhritarashtra, and Arjuna here symbolizes a Mahasamsari. And who is a Mahasamsari? Shoka samvigna manasah, one whose mind is totally grief-stricken, one whose mind is completely overcome by sorrow. And this is a telltale symptom of the problem of raga, attachment. Arjuna is completely overpowered by attachment and intense grief. And not only that, Sasharam chapam visrijya, he has also thrown away both the bow and arrow. And what does that represent? Even though it is a physical action, we must understand the symbolism behind it. Arjuna was a Kshatriya. For a Kshatriya, the bow and arrow represents fighting for dharma and establishing dharma. Establishing dharma and protecting the people is the duty of a Kshatriya, as per Dharma Shastra. So giving up the bow and arrow indicates Swadharma Tyagaha. And this Swadharma Tyagaha is what? It is because of a conflict or moha, delusion, has come about. So, Shoka Samvigna Manasaha represents Raga and Shoka problem, that is attachment and grief. Visrijya Sasharam Chapam represents Moha. When faced with the conflict, whether to fight this war or not, he takes a totally wrong decision of Swadharma Parityaga. He wants to either run away but from the battlefield or and do tapas, or he wants to get killed in the battlefield. But he is not going to perform at this stage the Swadharma, which is for a Kshatriya, establishment of Dharma, fighting for Dharma. Because tapas, if he says, I am going to do tapas, tapas is not a dharma of a Kshatriya, tapas is a dharma of a sannyasi. As per the scriptures, as per our Shastra, a sannyasi should actually engage in tapas. For a grihastha, he has to do his duty, like getting up in the morning, doing japa, sandhya, vandanam, whatever it is, all that which has been ordained for a grihastha, he has to do all that. And if he does not do it, it is a papa. According to Shastra, it will attract, papa, that is what they call the papa of not doing what is ordained by the Shastra. But we must remember, a grihastha should do all these things without actually disturbing his family duties. And if a grihastha neglects his family duties and only engages in japa and all that, that is also paradharma grahanam. This japa, upasana and all are ordained for vanaprastha lifestyle, vanaprastha ashrama. A grihastha has to do all these things, but without neglecting his family duties. So if a grihastha, by neglecting that, if he does only this japa and all that, that is also paradharma grahanam. In fact, Krishna will talk about all these things later. What is swadharma, what is paradharma, what is the dharma of each ashrama, what is the dharma of each varna, everything he will talk about. So for a grihastha also, if he neglects his family duties, it will be swadharma parityagaha. So this paradharma grahanam, swadharma parityagaha is the result of moha, delusion, confusion. And here, having seen all these things, understood all that Arjuna's train of thoughts, where he has finally come to the conclusion, we need to look a little deeper into the significance of Arjuna's action. Although Arjuna was very sad, grief-stricken and all, we must notice that he did not run away from the battlefield. Because perhaps something inside him told him that there was probably some defect, some fallacy in his thinking. But ultimately, his by nature, he was a man of dharma. His upbringing has also been very well, done. And all that has happened is his present thoughts were all colored by his raga, shoka and moha. Even though if we follow the train of his thoughts, many of them will look very logical rather, and we can see there is some truth in his argument. Reason being, we also think always like Arjuna is thinking only. We never think about what we should do now, but if I do this, what will happen is what our thinking always is. So many of us will actually sympathize will see that, what Arjuna is saying, right? What is wrong in what Arjuna is saying? That is what is going to happen if everybody gets killed. That will be our argument also. So even though there is some truth in whatever Arjuna is argument, is in his arguments, at the same time, we must not forget that there is dharma involved in this entire thing. The whole war was about dharma only. Therefore, it is not easy to resolve these issues. There are so many complicated, complex issues involved. Arjuna had a job to do. He was a person who was supposed to take care of the law and order. This was mandated by the Shastra, by the society, by the crown, and for that reason, probably he did not run away from the battlefield. At one corner of his mind, he knew that there is also this dharma issue is there. I don't know what to do. And many of us face that. I don't know what to do. This is also there, that is also there. Opposite, conflicting things. Because if he was very firm in his views, which he has expressed, that I don't want to fight this war, he could have easily gone away from the battlefield, isn't it? All that he had to do was tell Krishna, fine, Krishna, I have taken the decision. I am not going to fight this war. Drive the chariot away from the battlefield. And Krishna, being a charioteer, he could not have said anything. He has to obey the command of the Swami. But Arjuna did not do that. After saying all this, he didn't tell Krishna. Earlier he said, Ratam Stapaya, in the battlefield, He told Krishna, go and put my chariot in between the two armies. That he said. Similarly, he could have said here, take my chariot away from here. But he did not do it. He did not run away because perhaps he knew that there was some problem with his thinking. So therefore, he was confused. He sat there in the chariot in the middle of the battlefield. And probably his expectation was that even though Krishna has not spoken till now, probably now, after I have sat down, I have stopped talking, Krishna may perhaps start talking and reacting or responding to whatever I have told. It's this typical to be or not to be dilemma, Arjuna is facing. So therefore, in this chapter, this Arjuna Vishadha Yoga or Arjuna's samsara is beautifully depicted. And now we are at the crossroads. At the end of the chapter, it closes in such a way. Vyasacharya has closed the chapter in such a way, like all our TV serials and all that, isn't it? There is a suspense. We don't know what is going to happen next. So it's a crucial thing. And the suspense always is to prompt us to watch the next episode. So that we must not say, oh, this is all boring and keep these things. So there is a suspense. What is going to happen next? How Krishna is going to respond to all these things. Whether the battle is going to go ahead or not going to go ahead. Is Arjuna going to fight or not fight? So this is how the first chapter closes, with this suspense of Arjuna. The camera focuses on Arjuna. Shoka Samvigna Manasaha, with his face down, and probably totally face is showing lot of distress. He doesn't know what to do. Of course, we cannot have this kind of a pose or something. Probably he had this pose also. Bow and arrow on the side, kept aside. In the middle of the battlefield, this is what Arjuna's picture is. So this is the first chapter. And it will at least give us some motivation to go to the next chapter to know what is then going to happen. Now, the closing lines of the first chapter. Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita So Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Arjuna Vishada Yoga Nama Pratamodhyayah. This is how every chapter of Bhagavad Gita ends. This portion comes at the end of every chapter. The only difference in every chapter is here it says Arjuna Vishada Yoga Nama Pratamodhyaya. In other chapter, there will be the topic of that chapter and Dvitiyodhyaya, Tritiyodhyaya. That will be the only change. The first sentence and all, Om Tat Siti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su, there will be no change in all the chapters. So today I will explain you the meaning of this closing lines of the first chapter. And then when we see the second, third chapter and all that, you can just extrapolate the same meanings there. I will not be explaining these meanings again and again and again. Except that the topic, what is the topic of the chapter? Okay. So Om Tat Sat. Om Brahman is the only reality. Om stands for Brahman, the absolute reality and the only reality. Tat Sat. Iti, thus. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su. In the Bhagavad Gita. Upanishadsu. In the Upanishads. Brahma Vidyaya. In the knowledge of Brahman. Yoga Shastre. In the science of yoga. Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade. In the dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna Vishada Yoga Nama. Called yoga. Yoga here means topic. Yoga does not mean Ashtanga Yoga and all. Yoga means topic. Topic of Arjuna Vishada, Arjuna's sorrow. Pratamodhyaya is the first chapter. This is the meaning of this portion, this last lines of the first chapter. So this indicates, thus ends the first chapter called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. The chapter of Arjuna's sorrow, Arjuna's despondency. Where in the Bhagavad Gita, which is in the form of a dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, and which is the essence of the Upanishads, whose subject matter is both knowledge of the Brahman and also the science of yoga. This is the meaning, complete meaning of this Om, the sentence beginning with Om Tat Sat. See, traditionally, these words Om Tat Sat, they occur at the end, but here in Bhagavad Gita, they go before this line. It starts with Om Tat Sat. So every chapter ends with the expression Om Tat Sat. And then only the other, from Iti onwards, it starts. So this Om Tat Sat are three words. Om is one word, Tat is one word, and Sat is another word. Of course, from a point of view of the absolute reality, all these three words are the names of the Lord only. As we have seen in Vishnu Sahasranama, everything in this Jagat, every name and form is the name and form of the Lord only. So here, by saying Om Tat Sat, we are uttering these names of the Lord as thanksgiving for the successful completion of the first chapter. And therefore, Om Tat Sat. And therefore, this expression indicates a conclusion, which is that, what is that conclusion? That is, after all is said and done, the reality, the absolute reality, the only reality is only Brahman. Om Tat Sat. This is the significance of this word. Now let us see a little detail, since we have time. the meaning of these three words. The word Om has got several meanings. But for our purpose, we can take the simplest meaning. Avati Rakshati iti Om. I have explained the meanings of Om, what Adi Shankara explained in the context of Vishnu Sahasranama. So those who are Vishnu Sahasranama students can always refer to those talks. But here we can take it Avati Rakshati iti Om. So one of the meanings of Om is Avati. Avati means Rakshati, which means the one who protects, that is the protector. And the Lord is called the protector. And in our studies so far, He has protected us from all the obstacles so that we could complete this first chapter successfully today. It has taken 23 classes, but the entire context in which the Bhagavad Gita teaching is set is clear to us now. And we are able to relate it also to our own personal experiences in our day-to-day life. The next word, Tat, means the one who is beyond sense perceptions. He is Paroksha, Indriyatita, Sarvendriya Agochara is Tat. The one who is beyond all sense organs, supra-sensual, you can call, is the meaning of this word Tat. Of course, this is again one of the meanings. So many other meanings are there. And let us see if some other context comes, I will explain other meanings of Tat also. Then the third word, Sat. Sat means eternal. In those Tattva Bodha students will recall, the word Sat was defined in Tattva Bodha as what? Trikale api tishtati iti Sat. Trikale api tishtati. So that which is in the past, in the present, and in the future, which is eternal, that is Sat. Therefore, Om Tat Sat means and refers to the eternal protector who is beyond our sense perceptions. That is Brahman. And having remembered the Lord, we say Prathamodhyaya. O Lord, by your grace, we have completed the first chapter, which is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga, which is called the grief of Arjuna. And this is the main theme of the first chapter, Arjuna Vishada or Shoka of Arjuna. And here we must understand Vishada means Shoka. It represents the other two also, Raga and also Moha. In short, you can say Arjuna Samsara Yoga is the topic of the first chapter. And how it is presented? It says Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade, which is presented in the form of a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. Of course, in this chapter, there was only Arjuna's monologue. There was no dialogue with Krishna. Krishna was silent all along. The full dialogue will come only from the next chapter, from the second chapter, from the 11th sloka. But taking the whole Gita, it is given the title Krishna Arjuna Samvade, because the Samvada has begun already. Arjuna has expressed his problem. He has expressed his feelings, in which Krishna can easily diagnose the problem of samsara which Arjuna is suffering from. So this word Samvada is used for a dialogue between a guru and a disciple. In fact, the discussion between two people in the Shastras, they can classify into 4 different forms. I won't go into that, but that's not relevant here. Because Samvada refers to the dialogue between a guru and Shishya. So it is a healthy dialogue. It is a dialogue where the Shishya asks the guru questions not to challenge the Guru, but to get his own doubts clarified. That's a very healthy dialogue. All Upanishads, all our scriptures are set as Samvada only, dialogue between a Guru and Shishya. So it's not an argument, not a debate, it is not a test. It is a very, a dialogue taking place in very harmonious atmosphere. And here the Guru's attitude is he has got love for the disciple. Guru never looks for any gains from his teaching. So Guru's attitude is of love, compassion, and the attitude of the Shishya is faith in the Guru and reverence. And such a dialogue, which is with love, faith, and reverence, that is called Samvada. And it is the most healthy form of communication. And this Samvada is given the name Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishadsu. So this dialogue is called Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad. You can put it that way. The word Upanishad means that, refers to that knowledge which liberates a person from sorrow. So therefore, Upanishad means liberating wisdom, liberating from sorrow in life. And what type of wisdom it is? Which is Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su, which is taught by, which is revealed by Srimad Bhagavan, the Lord himself. And we have already seen the meaning of Bhagavan. Bhaga consists of sixfold virtues, isn't it? Aishwaryam, Viryam, Yashas, Shriya, Jnanam, Vairagyam. And all this Samagram, total and absolute overlordship, total and absolute power, total and absolute wealth, total and absolute Vairagyam, dispassion, total and absolute Yashas, fame, and total and absolute Jnanam, knowledge. All these six put together is called Bhaga. And a Bhagavan has all these virtues in total and absolute measure. That is Bhagavan. So Bhagavad Gita Su means in the song, divine song, where Gita is basically a song. Gita itself means song. Gitam. So therefore, this is not only a song, but this is also Upanishad. And when we call it an Upanishad, we must understand this is not the original Upanishad. Because original Upanishad is a part of the Veda, which comes under the category of Shruti. Whereas Bhagavad Gita comes under the category of Smriti. So it is not the original Upanishad. Because original Upanishad existed even before Krishna was born. He took avatar. So Krishna's teaching to Arjuna is not the original Upanishad, but it is only a Sara, the essence of the Upanishads. Here we should recall the Dhyana Sloka. Sarvopanishado gavo dogda gopala nandana partho vatsas sudhir bhokta dugdam gita mritam mahat. You all remember that? So Bhagavad Gita is an Upanishad. Upanishad Saratvat Upanishad iti uchyate. Being the essence of Upanishad, the cream of Upanishad, it is called Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishadsu. And what is the theme of this entire dialogue? See, Bhagavad Gita, the entire Gita has got only two topics. There are only two main themes in the Gita, which are represented by Veda Purva Bhaga, which is Karma Kanda, the religious part, the Karma part, Karma Yoga part, and the second is Veda Anta Bhaga, the Jnana Kanda, the philosophical part. Therefore, in short, we can say Gita consists of two topics, religion and philosophy. And religion means what? Religion means a way of life which makes me fit for philosophy. And philosophy is an inquiry into the absolute reality. Religion gives me jnana yogyata, that is fitness for knowledge, and philosophy gives me jnanam, the knowledge of the absolute reality. So for the first part of our life, we should make ourselves fit for knowledge. And the second part of our life is for gaining knowledge. This religious part is here called Yoga Shastram. And the philosophical part is called Brahma Vidya. Therefore, Yoga Shastram plus Brahma Vidya is Gita. Karma plus Jnanam is equal to Gita. Veda Purva Bhaga plus Vedanta Bhaga is equal to Gita. Such a Gita we are going to learn, of which we have successfully completed the first chapter today with Lord's grace. And in the next class, what I intend doing is, I will be giving you a summary of the first chapter, clearly the significant or salient takeaways from the first chapter. And if time permits, I will also briefly introduce the second chapter in the next class. Okay. So with that, we will close today's session and I will say the prayers. Om Purnamadav Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all very much. Those who have not marked the attendance, do so. If you have not.
Namaste Guruji. Namaste Guruji.
Thank you.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram, Mama.
Namaste Guruji.
Hari Om Guruji. Thank you, Guruji.
Namaste Guruji.
Thank
you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Guruji.
you.
Guruji, my name is appearing wrongly in the.
What happened?
My name is appearing wrongly. So instead of Sukhdev, it is only KHADEV it is showing.
Oh, is it?
Is it my mistake or from your side? I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. Now that you have told me, I know Shukdev is there. So I will mark it.
No problem, because it may be mistaken for the
No.
thing, that's it. Identity. Okay.
It's a Khadev, right? KHADEV. That's what is up.
SUKHADEV.
Yeah, it's a SU is missing. So
Yes.
that is okay. No problem. I will make a note of it. No issue.
Thank you. Guruji.
Yes. Any questions? Yes, Hariji.
Hari Om.
Yo.
Guruji, can you, I remember that you have once explained to me, but can you once again explain why this first chapter is called a yoga? It is a Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Why is it called a yoga? Yoga means actually that is something which we have to learn, and we have to adopt that way of thinking and value in our life. Whereas in case of the first chapter in Arjuna Vishada, that is something which we should not practice. But still the chapter is called as yoga. Can you kindly explain why is it called a yoga?
I will. See, the word yoga, first we must understand, it means, it is derived from the dhatu yuj.
Yeah,
Yuj means to connect.
yeah,
So from that dhatu, the word yoga has got so many, several meanings are there for yoga. Okay. So here, the word yoga is used in every chapter because here it is Arjuna Vishada Yoga, then Karma Yoga chapter will be there. So here the meaning of yoga that we have to take is topic or subject matter. That is the meaning of yoga we have to take, because that meaning also is there for the word yoga from the Sanskrit grammar point of view. Subject matter is a yoga. Yoga means so many things. You can refer to yoga as the Ashtanga yoga, that they are also called yoga. So the word yoga has got very, several meanings are there. In this context, we have to interpret it contextually. So what here we can at best extend that meaning of connection is Arjuna Vishada Yoga is as people who are actually studying the Bhagavad Gita, started studying the study of Bhagavad Gita, which we are going to continue. Initially, we need to connect with the problem of samsara. Why should I study Bhagavad Gita? What is there? Unless I diagnose that I have a serious problem of samsara, which is expressed in terms of raga, shoka, and moha, then this entire Bhagavad Gita will be meaningless to me. So the topic of Arjuna Vishadha, that is the word yoga, here we have to take the topic of, subject matter of. That is the meaning for yoga we have to take. So it is the connection with the sorrow or despondency of Arjuna this particular chapter refers to. This is the subject matter of this chapter. Similarly, when we come to the third chapter, it will say Karma Yoga Tritiya Adhyaya. So that is the chapter of the, not Karma Yoga, that the topic of karma, which is there in the Shastras, that will talk. Similarly, 15th chapter is Purushottama Yoga now. So that's the Purushottama is the topic of that particular chapter. So every chapter, what is the topic of the chapter is actually narrated at the end of the every chapter in the Gita. So that is how we have to understand. Otherwise, the yoga meaning and all, we must not extend that meaning to any exotic meaning of yoga that we may know. It's a very simple meaning, subject matter or topic. That's what it is. Yeah. Thank you. Any other question? Nothing? Everything is fine. So there's no more questions. We can close the session. Permission? Okay then. Okay. Thank you very much, all of you. See you next Saturday. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
Hari Om Guruji.